All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What Drives You. I am your co-host, Stan Windhorn, and with me, as always, my good buddy and co-host, Carl Bauer. Carl, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody from sunny and balmy Palm Desert. I'm on remote for work, and so
That's
just
right, you're
excited to
traveling again.
and I hopefully will get to meet our guests because I'm going to actually be in Austin next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think. So I'll let you introduce her, Stan.
Yeah, well, I actually heard about Jackie through a friend and someone who was a guest on our episodes a while ago, Kevin Rochelle. We joke around and call him the mayor of Lakeway. He seems to know everybody. But he had actually told me about Jackie before I had actually met her face to face, and she'd be just a great guest on What Drives You. And then, I don't know, a week and a half, I don't know, within the last 2 weeks, I actually got to meet Jackie face to face and asked her to come on the episode, and here she is. So, everybody, let's welcome our guest for today, Jackie Nash. Jackie, welcome to What Drives You.
Oh, so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Jackie, you've got just a lot of interesting stuff going on. When Kevin first started talking about you and how you'd be a great guest on the show, he was saying that you are a stand-up comedian, and we've actually had a couple of other comedians and performers on the show. We always like that, but tell us a little bit about your stand-up comedy career, how you got involved in it, and where you're at now with it.
All right. Well, to start, I kind of like to joke and say that I'm the Jackie of all trades because the Jackie of all may be the master of none, but I have had a lot of different jobs in my life. They're all usually tied to the arts. It's interesting how I got into comedy. My entire passion, my whole life was mainly predominantly straight acting. I told my mom at 6 I wanted to be an actress, always was acting. My degree from Illinois State University is in acting and theater. And then I rushed off to Hollywood right after college with my ex-husband. I was going to be, try to strike fame in Hollywood. But in order to do that, I wanted a backup plan. So I went into aesthetics. So I'm an esthetician. I do body waxing, facials, makeup. And I moved to LA, really tried the acting scene very hard, did some great work, still act to this day in straight plays and musicals. But I always had a love for comedy. I was always going to comedy clubs, even in college. My ex and I were huge at going to comedy clubs. We knew friends that had moved to Glendale, California, which is where I was living in the Valley. And then I stumbled on Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, which was just originally a place to go to all the time. And it was actually my ex who I always commend him. He told me to go into makeup, and then he also told me to go into comedy. And those are the two things I do the most of to this day. I started auditioning for stand up at the clubs in LA, and I started getting my 5 minutes and my 3 minutes and working up to 10, 15. And I started taking stand up comedy classes at the Flappers in Burbank, did a beginners and intermediate and advanced, took MC classes. And I had had previous teachings in a little bit of I did a little bit of Second City in Chicago because I'm from Joliet, Illinois, suburbs of Chicago. And I liked improv and I loved straight acting, but I liked the control that comedy had. Stand up was my own stories and my own personal experience. I would get very nervous at auditions, and I'm a good actor, but I was struggling in the audition world and always just insecure. Whereas comedy, I kind of have shown no fear from day one. I'm not one to really prepare a ton. I'm not necessarily a joke teller. I'm more of just a very vivid storyteller of my life, and I've had a very, very crazy life, and I grew up just in some very crazy situations, and so my comedy kind of became these appalling stories that the audience would be like, oh my gosh, she's not making these up. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm a comic. I don't even have to tell jokes. And so I think comedy, like a lot of comedians, became a form of therapy for me. It was very therapeutic to just get my life story out on stage, maybe confess some sins and struggles and just life. And yeah, since then, it's kind of taken me around. It's been a major part of my life. I went from LA to then I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, did a small stint in corporate America. I did life insurance because I had done hair and makeup for corporate headshots in like 40 states. So I got to do open mics and comedy all over the country while doing hair and makeup in corporate settings. And then from there, I went to Scranton, Pennsylvania during the pandemic. And then I cherry picked moving to Austin, Texas, because I've been to all 50 states and Austin just felt like the right fit. And so I've been in
Yeah,
Lakeway, Texas for 5 years now. And the friend that I took the comedy class, over 10 years ago, he is now the one I work with on producing really huge stand-up comedy shows here in the Lakeway area, as well as doing other restaurants and bars around town. So it's just a
nice.
wild full circle ride of kind of using all of my artsy talents and bringing them all together here in Lakeway, Texas.
Love that. I want to talk some more about these shows you produce and things, but we have a lot in common, the three of us, that I wasn't aware of until just now. Carl still lives in Illinois, but I went to high school and college there as well. My minor was in theater, but I went to Southern Illinois University.
Oh yeah, I've done some
Um,
partying in Southern.
See, only people who live in Illinois say that. But you talk to anybody from Illinois, you say SIU, they go, "Oh, the party school." I apologize to the university for giving it that reputation. But you got to do what you got to do. But then I also went to California with aspirations of being an actor. I realized very quickly that I enjoyed having food to eat and a roof over my head. So I was lucky. I kind of went a different route. I made most of my living in other ways, but I was fortunate enough and still to this day get to do some acting and some magic and different fun stuff that I enjoy doing. And I can see the look on Carl's face right now because there's another friend of ours, a good friend of ours, and Kenny and I have been
Hold on.
working up
Hold
three
on.
to 4 minutes, 5 minutes to do an open mic. Go ahead, Carl. I know you want to
I
say it.
yeah, well, it's very ironic and I think predestined that Jackie, you are in the position you're at because I've challenged Stan and Ken, who was just mentioning too. They're very funny. But I'm like, show me the money, get on the freaking stage and do 2, 3, 4 minutes. We all are very funny in our interactions when we're on these podcasts together. We laugh a lot. We get a lot of people to laugh, but it is such a different world, as you know, to stand in front of complete strangers and try these pitches, these stories, these jokes out, and either bomb or win. And there's nothing like it. We stand by, and I don't know if Ken has performed so much, but Ken speaks to a lot of audiences for business. So he's been up in front. So we've all been up in front of a lot of people. But to be there with a mic and your brain and your jokes is a whole different thing. So their challenge this year, Jackie, to do this or there's consequences.
So to challenge you on that and talk about the timing. So I produce these shows in Lakeway every quarter in Rough Hollow, this community that you live in, and then it's this nice big garage. It's Highland Community Center. The funny thing that you say that is we normally structure it where it's me and either one or two other comedians where we start it, and then we bring this really big headliner. And so the headliner usually has TV credits. It's somewhere from either LA or maybe here local or somewhere. And then, everyone BYOBs their own food and drinks. And then we sell these tickets on Eventbrite. It's all over Facebook. But it's funny that you say that because my producer, Richie Leese, who owns Comic Cure, and myself, we've discussed that our next one, which is going to be in the fall in October, instead of doing the big headliner, we're wanting to open it up to Lakeway in Austin and do an actual, like, showcase of maybe like 10 or 20 comedians where we all do 5 minutes, and he's going to actually possibly hire full-blown judges, and there's going to be a panel, and we're trying
Ah,
similar to what obviously comedians do at Cap City and other comedy clubs, but we're wanting to do like a real showcase to bring more talent to Lakeway and just get to know more comedians. So I think this challenge of his might be at the perfect timing that he needs to get on.
I'm ready. I got 5 minutes.
I think
I got a
so.
solid 5 minutes, Jackie. But you said something. I want to go back to that, and I want to talk some more about what you're doing up in Lakeway because I got some really strong thoughts on that too. But you had said that you really didn't feel all that nervous your first time you went up to do stand up because in my opinion, comedy is such a brave thing to do maybe even more than a lot of other kind of live performance, because if you don't get the laughs, it's it just it can suck. And I think a lot of people really who maybe, oh, their friends tell them that they're super funny and all this kind of stuff, but to be able to get up in front of the mic in front of strangers and do your thing, I think takes a great deal of courage. Did I hear you right to say that you just felt real natural with it right away?
It is. It's very strange because I'm actually a severe codependent and people pleaser, and I desperately care what people think of me. So, no, to your point, it was actually shocking. I do tend to be an oversharer, and my life is kind of an open book. But yeah, I remember my first time doing 5 minutes for like a play that just needed an intermission. I had a little bit of nerves, but once I started doing my own shows in comedy clubs, yeah, it was weird. I mean, I get nervous before plays, musicals. I get really nervous before auditions. But something about showing up to a random space and just being told I have to do comedy. And again, I don't want to admit this to most comedians. It's breaking the rule of, all comedy. They always say comedy isn't really writing, it's rewriting. The best comedians are obviously writing a ton, they're tweaking their jokes.
Yeah.
That is not how I work. I projectile vomit ideas on my iPhone. I just voice memo them and then I play them back and I'm like, how could I get to the point quicker? I'm
Mm.
just a very vivid, I'm a very performancey person, I think, in my everyday conversation. So I think the reason stand-up isn't nerve-wracking to me is I don't go up on stage saying I'm about to perform. I happen to just tell myself I'm about to get on stage and have a very intimate conversation with some people, and I just happen to be on a stage doing it. I don't know, it's a very
Mm.
vulnerable experience for me. Um,
Yeah.
Yet the irony, the people pleasing only creeps in. So there is no fear before the show. There's no fear during. As soon as I'm done, there's even the high of feeling like I did a great job. The
Yeah.
only the time the insecurity comes if is it then when I decide to watch it back. And
Ah,
then once I watch myself, I'm highly critical. And then I repeat
hypercritical.
things and was like, I could have done that better.
Yeah. I wonder if you've ever experienced this, but I've had a chance to perform in front of some pretty good size audiences, and it's a rush.
It is a
And sometimes when you're done with that rush, there's this coming down I mean, this chemical change in your body, and I don't want to call it necessarily depression, but it's this weird kind of coming down off of that adrenaline rush. Do you ever get that feeling?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've always joked that anybody in the arts, we're kind of a weird breed, and we might be a form of just an addiction of itself because, to
Hmm.
your point, it's like a bump. It's like you crave this moment, it's great, but then the come down, you don't get to experience that moment every second of the day. And so, yes, yes, it is ebbs and flows. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard coming down from that. And then other experiences in life don't always match that feeling. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's interesting that most actors, when you get to know them, or most comedians, we got a little something going on in the head.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. But I have this theory that, like, so many rock stars and stuff like that fall prey to different addictions.
Mhm.
And part of my theory to that is what we just talked about, is I mean, can you imagine being in a very popular rock band and you just got off the stage performing for 50,000 people who are responding to everything that you're asking them to respond to. And when that's over, how is it possible to replace that sort of an endorphin adrenaline rush? And I think that's what this is strictly my theory, but that may be part of the reason why you find so many performers ending up with some sort of a chemical dependency, trying to get that rush again. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and to your point too, the strange thing too, and even my dear friend Richie, who's a phenomenal comic, he was just on not Lost Comic Standing, the one Comics Unleashed. He with Byron, he just was in LA filming it. He doesn't put a lot of his content online, and I haven't put a ton of my content up, and a lot of it is good content. Sometimes I just want to keep it for myself, and I feel like once the content's out there, now people aren't hearing it for the first time. But
Mm,
I'm very aware that we live in an age that in order to get some substantial success, you need to put yourself out there. But I'm willing to do it live. But there is something to me, it's actually scarier to put your material up afterwards because we all know the comments, right? It destroys some people. Getting to
hmm.
actually read the feedback in black and white, you have to be in a really strong place to be able to receive that. And so
Yeah.
I'm learning
Yeah. Well,
that.
especially you're going to end up with some trolls who are, that's how they get their rush is putting other people down for things that they wouldn't have the guts to try in the first place. But you got to put that in perspective. I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing. You've mentioned the town of Lakeway. I live right next to it. I'm up in the Four Points area, if you know where that is. And Carl has heard me talk about this a lot too, but I have been saying for a long time that
Mhm.
up in this northern part of Austin, we need some sort of a comedy or a comedy magic or some sort of a venue like that
Mhm.
because there really isn't anything up here. If we want something like that, we can go down to Joe Rogan's place, which is downtown Austin. I'm a big fan of Esther's Follies. I think
Oh, I
that's a
love Esther's
long
Folly.
running, really clever, well done thing, old school Austin. And
I
then we could go to
auditioned
the
there.
Domain to Cap City. But otherwise, there's really not that much up here by us.
No, there's open mics. I did it at like the Lucky Duck in off Seventh, and you're right. I think there's another comedy club. So you have Rogan's Comedy Mothership next to the Volcan. That's also on
Mhm.
Sixth, and then you have Esther's Folly, and then you're right. It's the Domain. And then here, so I produce stand-up shows here at the Gramercy restaurant. That's where I'm at tomorrow night. And then I'm also at I do Angel's Ice House, and that usually is once a quarter. That one they actually use our comic here. And then I produce in Lakeway. Been contemplating doing Iron Wolf down in Spicewood. I've done things at Front Yard Brewery. So a lot of the people are craving it. But to your point, to just kind of segue into the other areas I do theater and musicals with the Lakeway Players, and they have to rent the space at the activity center because the only theater in Lakeway is this Tex Arts, and they kind of bring more touring professional companies. It's not necessarily community based, it's more professional, which is great, but they don't do like music and comedy. So, to your point, a lot of people are having to rent spaces out here, and we live in a very affluent, very ritzy, a lot of people with money. They don't want to go downtown or the Domain. And to your point, there's a massive lacking of comedy, music, performers, theater, and a really nice theater space where it could just be the home for all of that. That even I've talked to some investors and even myself of like, are we just going to own or build a space? Like, we need
Yeah.
the first one to get on the ground because there is a craving and a need for it in this area of Austin. I completely agree.
Yeah. Well, we need to talk.
Yes.
Very cool. So beyond the comedy, you also do a lot of theater. You just said that you work with the Lakeway Players, which I've never heard of. But if you need a big, tall, guy for a
Sasquatch.
role,
Yes, they
hey,
need men all
easy,
the time.
Carl.
There's auditions this summer and they are always in desperate need of men. See, it's amazing that so many people in this area don't even know who the Lakeway Players are. We need to be better about that.
Well,
So,
you and I talked about this too. The Techs, what is it? The
Tech Arts.
theater, Tech Arts. I drive by it, but I've never been aware of what they're doing there. I know that it's some sort of a theater, but I'm not sure what it is or what they do. So there might be a need for more promotion locally for some of these things that are going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Where
why I
Yeah.
have flyers. I'm a connector like you, and I'm like, who do I got to talk to? Because these people need to know you're on the radar. Exactly.
Jackie, I'm pretty well versed from where Stan lives on 620 wrapping around to Bee Cave. So where in that route is this theater?
So, sorry, where is the theater or where's me?
Where's the theater?
Okay. So yeah, so on actual 620, right by the Chase and like this like boating is where Tex Arts was. Tex Arts is now in Lodeman's Crossing, and where we are is if you leave 620 and you drive all the way on Loman's Crossing, there is a Lakeway Activity Center. It's kind of close to City Hall and this Heritage Arts Center. It's all in Old Lakeway. That's where you vote. So all voting and like country dancing and elderly things and bingos and there's all these different community events, but the Lakeway players do their musical and play every year at the Activity Center in Lakeway.
Okay.
And they're the
Carl,
only
it's
ones,
not that far from the old offices where you and I
Okay.
used to work together in Bee Cave. It's
and they've
in
been
that
there like
general area.
12, wait, 15 years, way longer than you would think. And they're just not, and you'll see their flyers kind of like bolted in on the sides of schools and in Rough Hollow. They're kind of around. They do a lot of symphony, the activity center does other activities, but people just do not know enough of these really amazing shows where people can bring meals and wine and they do big round tables. It's a really great experience and great talent is coming out of there, but a lot of Lake.
So what kind of turnout do they get at those events? I mean, do they end up with like 15, 20 people, or do they end up with a couple of hundred?
Oh no, because they have 15 tables and each table holds like 10. They run a show
Okay.
from like a Thursday to a Sunday, sometimes a Thursday to a Saturday, and they're trying to sell at least 100 tickets a night. And most nights it's almost selling out. So people are
Yeah,
going. The regulars, there's people on their email list and there's volunteers, but
yeah.
yeah.
There's a place more in the Round Rock area, Jackie. I'm trying to think of where it is now, but they have a little mini town where the kids can come on school things and see how blacksmiths used to make things and how the old people used to live. And they have this little rustic theater. And I've gone a couple of times. The last time I went, I don't know if it was opening night or whatever, it was a Christmas thing. And it was pretty much myself and my date were like the only
Oh,
two of maybe four people in there. And I still had a nice time. But when you have that small of a crowd, first of all, it just feels awkward for everybody.
yeah.
When I used to do the show at Medieval Times, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but when it was a full house, it was way easier to have a great show than if there was 100 people in a 1,200 seat arena because it's really hard to get that small of a crowd to laugh and really get out of their shell and just enjoy
Yeah.
themselves. The spotlight's a little bit more on the audience at that time.
Oh yeah, it's a million times harder to do stand-up comedy for a room of 20 than a room of 200. Oh,
Oh
way
yeah.
more awkward and way more like chilling and it's even awkward for the audience to laugh. The intimacy of that is hard for both the performers and the audience. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's, Stan, and I'm sure you know this place, and Stan's like the unofficial mayor and promoter of this place, but the Lucky Rabbit out in Jonestown is
Uh,
got two actual stages in there, Jackie, which that was the other challenge I had for Stan because he's very close friends with the owners. I'm like, Stan, you got to get an open night mic there at one of the stages. One's outside, kind of hot, but it's way more space. The inside one is really cool, set up for music. But Stan's gone up there and just open mic sung, with again is brave and he's good, and we both sung, through our years in high school and college and beyond. But there he has some connections to put these, and I think Austin for you guys and what you're doing, and my challenge to Stan and Ken, it's such a hotbed for comedians right now because of what Joe Rogan has brought there and the attention. It's just a hot spot where I think all around Austin could be a hub because the comedy mothership. It was funny. I was a few months ago. I told Stan, uh, "Let's go to the comedy mothership." He's like, "We'll never get in there. They're sold out for months." And I'm like,
Hey, wait, is that your best impression of me?
That's close. That's in my
Oh, but
here.
I always think the same thing. And I showed up on a random Wednesday. It was packed, but we got in. It was
Yep,
super late, but they're
super
all
late.
because they're every night. It was like a 10 o'clock show. And even by 12:30 in the morning, it hadn't ended yet. And we're like, well, how long does this go? But I mean,
We had the same experience.
and it was $150 for two of us. 150. My tickets are $30 to $40. So I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, people. Let's fill the seats. I mean, they're
So
phenomenal comedians,
were
but
you did you go to the main were you in the main stage or did you go to the upstairs small one when you got in at 10 o'clock? Because Carl and I have had two experiences now. We've
10
seen the
o'clock, I
main
had to walk
show.
upstairs. I did have to walk upstairs, so I don't know which, but that was very,
Well, you'll know by the size of the audience. It kind of goes, this goes hand in hand in what we were just talking about. The first time we went, in fact, Ron White was there, which was
oh
cool to
yeah.
see him
First
on.
time I went was Ron White as well. He's usually there, and
Yeah.
it was Hitchcliff, and it was
But
Rogan. I saw Rogan. This second, I'm just saying, to your point, I saw all the big dogs my first time, and the tickets were like 40 a person, and I saw Rogan, Ron White, everybody, but those are the ones that sell out quick. I went to a random 10 o'clock one, was able to get in. They were all the no names, but it was like 150 for two people, and I was like, what is happening? So
what the heck had happened? Yeah, the second time we went, we were upstairs in this in a very small theater. What do you think, Carl? 15 people, 20 people in
Yeah.
that second one we went to?
oh no,
Maybe a
this
little
one,
more.
this
But
one
it
was
was a small one and kind of what we talked about. Well, first of all, the quality of the comics, they were, they were a little greener. Um, and but it just went on and on. I mean, the number one adage, or I don't know if it's number one, but one of the adages of performing is leave your audience wanting more. And after a couple hours of this, I'm like, I think I've had enough. I
we had
I
to
want
leave.
to
No, yeah.
I want to
One
go home now.
we left 2.5 hours in and we were like, it's
Yeah.
funny, but like we need to leave. I had never like left one early, but I'm like, this thing's never ending.
They wanted you to get your $150
I
worth.
guess so, yeah, yeah.
No, well, it's not only the ticket, then you're jammed up with two drink minimum. And so the tickets that first time weren't expensive to your point, but then I'm like, wait, first of all, it's late. We got to drive all the way back by you guys. And now we got to buy two super expensive drinks that we don't necessarily want. I mean, they were fine, but um,
It's interesting. I mean, Rogan lives out by us in Lakeway. It's interesting that he chose downtown, and I get it because that's where all the tourists are. But
Yeah,
it's just interesting the quality versus quantity because to your point, we have such a craving in our area. He could have made a massive state-of-the-art fancy one where we live and they might have been maybe a little less crowded, but more money and like a more luxury. I mean, we're crammed in like sardines at the mothership. It's an interesting, I mean, maybe eventually he'll do both, but it might be funny to see if one of us build one before he does. But I'm surprised because to your point, people don't want to always truck 40, 50 minutes to the city, pay for the whole evening and the drinks, and then also have to drive home. And it's a very late night. And we're craving
yeah,
live talent in the Lakeway area. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I think part of the reason I don't know what Joe Rogan's thoughts were, but he took over the original Alamo Draft House. Uh, and so it was already kind of a theater, and I'm sure maybe, well, and it's right on 6th Street, like to your point, that's where the tourists want to go and everything. But anyway, yeah, I'm with you, Jackie. We need to get something going on up here where um, I agree with you. It takes a lot for me to want to drive downtown Austin now for things. In fact, about the only time I really go downtown Austin anymore is for some sort of a performing arts type
yeah,
of a situation. Otherwise, to pay $30 to park and have to download a new app every time you want to park
oh, yeah.
somewhere and all the stuff that Austin became. I know you've only been here 5 years. I've been here 20.
It's
You
changed a lot.
missed when Austin was weird, Jackie. It was so
Hey,
great.
I used to party here when I was 18. I just turned 40 last week. I came here at 18, hopping around 6th Street. I got to take pictures with that famous homeless man Leslie and his beautiful little
Yeah.
bikini bottoms. Yeah, Austin was so different. Rainy Street was so intimate and fun. Now that's
Yeah.
destroyed. I can see the frustration of the Austinites being like, our city's changing.
Yeah, well, the lake too. I was just out on the boat, and I don't know if you ever experienced Devil's Cove
Oh, I
back in
did.
its
I did.
heyday.
Last year
And
too.
now I went out there last weekend on the boat, and I'm like, oh man, what happened? This used to be such an Austin icon, but a bunch of rich people built their houses on the cove and then got upset that there was noise in Devil's Cove, which has been there for decades. But anyway, I digress.
Hey, that's a part.
Um,
I got to still experience a little of the party, but yes, I could see it probably was crazier back in the day.
It was. So, Carl, Jackie's performing at the Gramercy on Saturday. If you remember, we had Billy Joe, who owns the Gramercy, is one of
mhm.
our earlier guests on What Drives You.
Yeah.
Uh, And so just to kind of give you a perspective of where she's going to be this weekend.
And
Yeah,
Jackie,
he's
I'll
phenomenal. I always recommend to comedians or just what Carl was saying to you, Stan, about really just getting out there and pulling from your resources. You know, I was a comedian doing very well in LA, decent in Pittsburgh, did a few places in Scranton, but then it was the pandemic. Barely did comedy for 2 years, then moved to Austin. I've been in a very estranged marriage and possible second divorce in my life right now. And like I got Bell's palsy, so half my face was paralyzed for a year. I was really struggling, and I was like, how do I get back into a comedy scene where I know nobody? And Billy Joe and the Gramercy, you become a regular somewhere. You get to know the owners. You ask them like, "Hey, give me a chance to produce a show. I'll do it completely for free." You kind of you prove your rights, and then you start getting pay, and then you make them bigger, and then you make them bigger, and then you ask the front yard, and then your buddy says, "Hey, start producing my shows through Comic Cure," and like it's just a snowball effect. But it originally takes those awkward moments of like, "Hey, let me just pop in and show you what I can do," and
Yeah.
when people believe in you and you're a consistent patron and you're a good friend and they can rely on you, they take that chance on you and then you just give them all you've got. And then they're like, oh, you actually are as good as you said you were. Okay, now I trust you. So it's a slow process, but anybody can really find the work they want to if they're persistent and they have good connections.
Yeah.
But
Well, back to Carl's challenge of Ken and I. He keeps acting like we're not willing to do it or we're afraid to do it, and neither one of us are afraid. We're ready to do it. It's just where do you do it? Well, we all want to be together too. So Kenny lives in California, Carl's in Chicago, I'm here in Austin. We'd all have to be in the same place at the same time where there happens to be an open mic night that happens to have two openings for us to go do it. But we've come up
Jackie,
with some
just
ideas.
hold on. Let me throw this
Okay,
at
go
you.
ahead.
Next Friday, Jackie, and possibly
Oh,
Saturday,
that's right. You're both going to be here.
we're both
no, this is what's gonna kill me. You wait, tell me what weekend because you're gonna die.
a
It's
week
not
from
this. It's
today.
not. It's a week
Well,
from today.
a
But
week from
all three of
today.
these guys. Yeah.
No, you know where I'm going to be in a week from today? Chicago.
No
Oh,
way. Well, Carl, should we share with our guest Jackie our idea of how to solve the open mic night thing in our trademark name for it? You look confused right now.
yeah, I'm confused. Go ahead.
Remember
Yeah.
with karaoke?
Oh,
Karaomedy.
oh, carry on. That's your idea, and I'm still jury's
I'm
out on
bringing
that
it to you
name.
to karaoke. There is LT Pub, the Irish pub that is amazing at karaoke here in Lakeway on Wednesdays and Fridays. We've been trying to do comedy there too. Hey,
Here's my idea, Jackie. First of all, I've trademarked this. It's Carryomedy with a little R in a circle under it. But yeah, well, if you go to a karaoke thing, then maybe every fifth singer, you sign people up to come up and tell a joke or two,
I think
and
that's
break up
smart.
the singing.
I'm trying to tell like Hops and Time and other breweries and places that will only do live music, similar to your concept. My comic here was like, see if bands will at least let you do like, to your point, when they take the quick intermission or the 10
Yeah.
minute,
Sure.
3 minute, let's start sneaking in some comedy and other arts in between these things. Because to your point, people like versatility. I always say the businesses that do the best, if you can go somewhere and get a few things done at once, or you can go somewhere and see a few different types of arts at once, people like the variety. I was in San Francisco years ago. I don't even think it's open anymore, but they had a place called Dirty Laundry. And it was a laundromat, a cafe, and on the weekends they would do comedy shows. And I thought that was genius because you're in a big
Genius.
city, you want to be able to do your laundry, eat a sandwich, and be entertained. And I'm like, see, they're on to something.
Yeah. Well, the idea of having comics either warm up or fill in for rock bands and stuff like that, that's not a new concept.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands instead of having a warm up band as we call them or whatever, they'll have a comedian come out and warm the audience up. And of course, if anybody's ever been to any one of the uh, recorded shows, Tonight Show, any of those things, they always have a comedian warming up the audience and kind of getting people pumped up. So yeah,
Well, and
that's a good.
the other thing I want to throw out there is so yeah, I'm at the Gramercy tomorrow. On Saturday, June 27th, is the Rough Hollow Show in Lakeway. It's at the Highland Community Center, and it's at 6 p.m. from 6 to 7:30. There'll be three of us comedians doing a small amount of time, and then our major headliner. After that, I'm actually going to be teaching a stand-up comedy class, but I'm going to be doing that through the Lakeway Players to kind of pull some resources with the theater group, and that's going to be in August. So I believe that's going to be August. It's going to be Thursday. I want to say Thursday, August 6th. And so Thursday, August 6th, in that same community center, I'm going to do a stand-up comedy class just for anyone who wants to learn. And then our next big show through Comic Cure will be in October, where we'll probably
Yeah.
do a Halloween theme, and we might be doing this panel of judges and actually take submissions. So yeah.
Stan, maybe you could do with the Curiosity, maybe you could do the Curiosity, the karaoke, the comedy, then like feats of strength you could mix in there, like the Costanzas, and just, do a little bit of that. Because you want to have it all in one place, right?
Are you
Well,
trying to
and
do comedy right now, Carl?
you
Are
brought
you
up
trying to do
magic.
comedy right now?
So Stan, you also brought up magic, which is interesting because
Magic. Look at that. Exactly.
my boss and bestie Richie, he's been wanting to incorporate more magicians. He does in some of his other states. I know some very big time. I can't afford these magicians. These magicians perform at the Magic Castle. I've gone there a few times in LA. Love the Magic Castle, but I've
Amazing
had
place.
such a love for magic because it's not just your standard card trick magic and your, those short of hand and fast and quick hand, but also all the illusionists and all the mental games. I tell you what, you feel like you're a crazy person watching good magic. You're like,
Yeah.
are you a unicorn? I mean, so
Well,
magic is really cool. There's,
I've got a little bit of a background in that too, Jackie. In fact,
yeah.
I've developed a couple of tricks that I'm about ready to uh, take through the magic world and see if other magicians want to buy them. I am working on a little show of my own, mostly mentalism type of magic. But Carl and I have been very fortunate. We've had a few different magicians on What Drives You.
Yeah. We'll send you those
One
links.
Yeah, one of them, Dave Hamner, he's got his own theater in Branson, Missouri. He's an illusionist. His claim to fame is, a lot of magicians make doves appear and stuff. He makes the full-grown giant macaws appear and they fly out of the audience. And then
That's great.
Carl and I were actually skiing in Tahoe. His wife couldn't go to his timeshare over the holidays. And why Carl was enjoying adult games in the casino area, um, there was an illusionist there. So I went and saw his show and talked to him afterwards, and he was gracious enough to come on as a guest as well. So we love having performers on What Drives You. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I thank you so much. I mean, it's great that you are getting performers of all certain types on your show just because I will say, obviously, you know it too, in the world of the TikToks and the YouTubes and just everything being digital, there is just still something about, talking to the people and seeing it live and some of that art's getting lost and we got to, we got to make sure it stays around because there's just
I
something so
agree.
special about live talent, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Jackie,
Jackie, you and I obviously need to talk a lot more because I'm so interested in a lot of things that you've got going on and maybe we could put our brains together on a few things. And hey, if tomorrow night you need a warm up guy,
one joke wonder.
I mean, Carl, you were about to say something. Were you?
Yeah, I was gonna say I just wrapped up an event for work at this trip, and yesterday we had as our closing keynote Adam Devine,
Oh,
comedian writer from Pitch Perfect. Stan might remember him, but just a
yeah, yeah,
super fun young guy. But why he would be cool, Jackie, to reach out to is he's very involved in the Children's Hospital Miracle Network because of it. He was hit by a cement truck when he was 11 on a bike, which he jokes about in it. Like he's like, yeah, you probably don't believe that it really happened, but it did. And he couldn't walk for 2 years at 11, 27 or 28 surgeries in 2 years. So he's just I mean,
yeah.
first of all, he's hilarious, he's talented, he's funny, he's positive. He's a miracle that he's alive,
Yeah.
basically. But he's, if there's anything to do with charity or giving back, I
Yeah, we affiliate with a lot of nonprofits, and what's really cool about our one in Lakeway, so Comic here is smart. You not only can just buy tickets to the show, but you can buy business sponsorships. So we work with businesses, we'll work with nonprofits. If a nonprofit links to one of our shows, they actually get a special Eventbrite ticket that is like super surcharged, so that then the 30 or whatever 40 goes to us, but let's say it's an $80 ticket, all the rest goes directly to that nonprofit. So he's really orchestrated a way to work with the community, with other nonprofits, and we've gotten a lot cleaner too. So I'm a person of faith. I go to Austin Ridge Bible Church. I've done all sorts of comedy. I obviously mine used to be a lot more vulgar. I also like that sometimes we do family friendly ones. Sometimes we do ones. I used to train stand-up classes at my church. That's how I met one of my comics. So we're also trying to bring comedy to people who maybe don't want the super graphic comedy of downtown Austin. Sometimes you just want funny people and you don't want to hear horrifically graphic content. Now, some do, and that's great, but we're trying to just tailor it to being more open to more different types of people. So that, yeah, that's very interesting.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think right now aren't the 3 or 4 biggest comics in the world clean?
Oh, yeah. Nate Bargatze, I'm about
Gaffigan,
to see this summer. Bargatze
yeah,
blowing up and he is squeaky clean.
yep,
Squeaky.
yep.
So,
Cool.
All
All
right,
right. Well, listen, we want to be respectful of your time, Jackie. We're going to move to our three rapid fire questions. Carl, you want to do the
sure.
rapid fires?
Yeah, for anybody who's new, again, this channel was born out of COVID and automotive, and Stan and I have worked together in auto for many, many years. So that was the theme of this originally, but it kind of morphed quickly into what drives you in life, what motivates you, what we've had a lot of survivors on the show, and you've had some challenges. So you're an encouragement just to kind of start over and keep going and all the things you do. So, but we still have this little nugget that we keep in here. It's our rapid fire question. So, what was your very first car, Jackie, that you ever owned?
oh yes, my very first car was given to me by my dad on my 16th birthday with a giant red bow on top. It was his car forever, and he's a mechanic, so he rebuilt it. It was a 93 Buick Regal, black with NASCAR tires and some Dale Jr. 3 and 8 stickers on it. So
Wow.
Nice. I remember those.
burgundy leather interior. It was honestly the sportiest, coolest 93 Buick Regal ever.
Hmm.
Cool.
All right. What
Cool.
was your, of all the cars you've owned in your life, what was your favorite car that you've owned so far?
So far, my favorite, because I've only owned a few, is the one I currently have, which is a 2019 black Audi
Hmm.
A4 or 3. I love it. I think an A4.
Yeah, A4 is more the sedan. The A3, I think, was a little wagon, but yeah,
It's
Audi. I'm
the
a big Audi fan.
sportier. It's the
Yeah.
sportier. I think the 4.
It's
Okay.
interesting how many guests we have, Carl, where their favorite car is the one that they're currently driving. I'd
Yeah.
say what, probably 40% say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to
It's
think,
cool.
you think over time you get a little bit more successful. I'd like to think with every car,
Yeah.
people slowly upgrade. So this is definitely the best car I've owned in my life.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So last one is you've got no budget constraints. There's no limit. What would be your dream car?
Oh, 100% addicted to Lamborghinis. I mainly fell in love with the Lamborghini because I wanted the hot red cherry Lamborghini from the movie Dumb and Dumber. When he busted out of the Dumb and Dumber Lamborghini, oh yeah, like the hottest, lowest, sportiest, most expensive, state of the art Lamborghini. I really do love hot like rod cars. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I would
Nice.
tell you on that, that's a great one. Keep your Audi as a backup because they're always broke down. But yeah,
I
you go get your
know.
Lambo.
My friend did
Bring,
have
bring
an,
them
I used
around.
to date a man with an Aston Martin. I'd probably second take an Aston Martin or what, a McLaren. I'd take them all. I love them. I love hot
Keep,
cars.
Yeah.
keep your Audi on all those. Go ahead, Stan.
All right. Well, we want to finish this up, Jackie, with what we call our words of wisdom section of the show. We ask all of our guests to either give us something that maybe it's a statement that they live by. Some people we say, hey, if you were going to give a young teenage Jackie some advice or just advice you'd want to share with people about life, what would your words of wisdom be?
All right. I'd say my words of wisdom, and I'm still learning this to this day myself, be completely unapologetically authentic and real. Just be true to yourself. Be an honest, good person, but be true to yourself because if you waste your whole life trying to please other people, which is what I have done most of my life, you're never going to please everybody and you're going to be so depleted and exhausted that you won't even be the best you for others. So, yeah, unapologetically authentic and completely you because you're the only person that's you. And you're the only person that can offer exactly what you have to offer. So just do it. That's
I
all.
love that one. That is
Good one.
absolutely great. Jackie, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us on this. I'm going to do my best to come tomorrow night and also on the 27th because I'd really like to see what's going on down there as well. Really, really appreciate you doing this with us. My friend Carl, always good to see you. I guess you're heading to Austin maybe next week, so I'll get to see
Yeah,
you in
well, when you
person.
are back, Carl, when we actually are all in the same state, or when I go to Chicago again, we'll have to get all contacts. I would love to definitely have us all face to face. It would be really great.
That'd be
It'd
good.
be great.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right, y'all. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us for this edition of What Drives You. And as we always like to say, be good humans to each other. We'll see you next time.